Uh, welcome to the Rat Nest Podcast, episode number 43 with the Method Makers.
Yeah. What's up?
What up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Number 43, 143 in pager code. That means I love you.
Going
so
back.
sweet.
I texted you that earlier, Akira, but I don't think you got it.
No, I didn't get that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yo,
Okay, I
we
love
are
you anyway.
blessed today to be sitting here with a handful of the Method Makers, Global Art Network, Neal, Akira, and Eyegato. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
Thanks, guys.
We've been looking forward to this episode, dude. Like, I know Neal, we had you on previously about Design Lab, and like we were talking about doing this episode, trying to get as many guys as we could together. This is like months in the making, like excitement coming from our end. So absolutely, thank you for being here, guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for us too.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, since the last time we talked, you got some new stuff cooking. For people that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about what Method Makers are and what you have coming up here? We could just kind of start from there, and then go into maybe some backstory and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the Method Makers was founded 10 years ago. It's crazy. We're actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. And it's really what it's grown into is this network of artists that are for social change and for the freedom of creative expression. And it's really like a group of individuals that not only are they creative, but they stand for something. And I think the work that we do together will hopefully showcase that when we release this project. I started Design Lab at the height of the pandemic because I wanted to be able to take the work of the Method Makers and then showcase it in a way where we could pair our podcast with the works of art that these guys were making. And we released the first season of the podcast, but didn't anticipate that it would take us so long to build the site and the experience that we wanted. And so that expression of putting the cart before the horse thing, like we were definitely riding the horse before the cart, or maybe we were just riding the cart and there was never a horse or whatever. I don't know how to, but however that analogy goes, like we've had to take a step back, and like with everything that we've had to put together, was the show going to happen or not? And I felt really bad because we were holding a bunch of this work, and we put a lot into trying to get it produced. And these guys have been so patient that the vision was always, we wanted to do something different, and we know that we don't have this gallery space, and keeping with the theme of social distance, how do we safely do a show where everyone gets the shine that they deserve and is able to get the exposure that we think is necessary to make this thing special. So
you hit on a lot of topics right there real quick, like in a thing. Let's break some of those down. So you guys you talked about shows, you talked about releases, you talked about podcasting. Like, you guys are dipping in, like diversifying everything. It seems like getting every side of the art. Tell me about the shows. How are you transitioning from like what you had planned before to the like post COVID or during COVID, and like how has it morphed in this time?
Well, the approach is, I think all of us are guilty of this. Like, on social media, you can open up your app on Instagram, for instance, and you can look at a piece of art for like 2 seconds, tap it twice with your thumb, and then move on. Mm-hmm. The experience that we're trying to provide is, we want to make it really slow. Like when you listen to a podcast, or when you watch the Rat Nest podcast on YouTube, and we recommend that you do that.
Thank you.
You're already doing it probably if you're watching this, but is we want people to understand the creative. Like, you come to Design Lab's website and you go to the podcast and watch and listen to the stories because like you want to hear the depth, you want to understand more about where this stuff comes from, right? And I think I don't know about everybody else, but when I decide to buy a piece of art, I want to get to know what people were thinking, like the depth, the creativity. And that's like leads me to like my point of like meeting Akira for the first time. We met the first time at the Upper Playground Gallery in 2012, I want to say, or maybe 2013. And I wanted to buy a painting, and it was actually the first painting that I ever bought that was over $500, right? And if I was going to spend that much money, like I kind of wanted to know more. And at the time, Trevor, who used to run 5024 SF, that gallery, said, yeah, if you want to meet Akira, just, let's make it happen. And from there, like him and I became friends, like really good friends, and what I enjoyed most about not just the art, but was the story, and I felt like that's something that people gravitate towards because they want to know more. Like, why else, would the Rat Nest or the Method Makers have a podcast? Is to learn more about that stuff, right? But yeah, and so we're trying to slow things down by pairing that story with the art, and we're not trying to release the show like, even though there's 7 artists and there's lots and lots of work that we could put on the site, we're trying to do it as a slow release because I mean it's experimental. Who knows like if it's going to be successful or not, but
Yeah.
The entire way that we're promoting this and the way that we're trying to activate it is it'll be, Akira and Stefano will have their artwork on the site for the first week, and we'll promote the hell out of it before it happens. Those limited pieces that are on there, you're only going to have that week to purchase them, and then it'll come down, and then the next week it'll be Gatson basically, and then the next week it'll be EKOSE and TK, and then after that it'll be Eyegato because he's got the most work out of everybody.
Nice.
And then we'll do a closing show. We'll see, what's available. We have some other releases that are scheduled. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what we're trying to accomplish.
That's sick, dude.
Can I touch a little bit on the like slowing down and experimenting with things like in this last couple of years? And this is why I have been enjoying doing like being part of the Method Makers. I mean, besides meeting Neal a little while back through a visit in San Diego. Outside of that, I mean, he has definitely taken the time to get to know us at a deeper level, how he said it, and he gave me the first chance to express a little more of what I've been doing over the last 10 years, and I was like really happy to do that. And the feedback that I got just on my personal platform was great. A lot of people didn't know too much about me outside of San Diego, or people that know me like on a daily basis, like at a personal level, since I'm mostly an anonymous artist, which we try to focus mainly on the art. And I think that's what Neal's doing. He's focusing, definitely deep on the art and the roots of it and the stories behind it. And I think that's something very important that most of us sometimes don't get a chance to either meet the artist or know about the artist and have a deeper connection. And I think doing this, what Neal's doing with Method Makers, it's connecting artists not just like based up in the Bay Area, but throughout the world, and also like connecting with the Rat Nest. And it's about cross-pollinating and like learning about each other. And I think it's like it's at a distance, but then again, we still come together with an idea that we want to share for the rest of the world, or little parts of ourselves that we can't share on a regular basis. And he's doing it in a very intimate way, which I really enjoy, and I think very smart. And I don't know, not like I said, not everybody gets to meet all these artists and know like what's the behind. And I think it'll be a great way to have us participate, have other people maybe eventually try to get in that realm or that space of like being I don't want to say like intimate, but real close to anyone in any way.
Absolutely, man. There's a lot to be said about understanding and taking the time to understand and caring about what goes into the piece that you're purchasing or that you're trying to hang on your wall or whatever. Like, kudos hats off to you, Neal, for actually taking the time and caring, because look, the only way an artist for the most part gets that vindication of their artwork is like when they sell a bunch of it, and there's never that, like, it's always a, oh, I love your work, I'll buy it from you, but it's all, that's surface, that's all people see, that's all that they're purchasing. When you're actually diving in and deep and understanding what it is that you're promoting and what it is that you're like in love with, when you look at that piece, it's really everything that went into it emotionally from the artist.
Yep, exactly. All you guys are hitting that on the nose. And I think yeah, everything that you guys just said, I agree with.
Well, speaking of like, or just to keep touching on like the emotion of it and getting to a little deeper and not just trying to sell work to flip it for $20 because it's someone that you think you might be able to sell their work, but actually making the connection. Akira, I want to ask you a little bit more about when you guys first met, how the relationship like developed to get to this point, because I mean, your work is insane with emotion. Like it's the epitome of it, man. It's so beautiful. I feel many different things when I look at your pieces. And then when I read the story and kind of like get a little bit more depth, even just what you have, on your site and stuff, it speaks a lot of truth to me. So I just want to get like your perspective on like how everything got started with like you and Method Makers.
Well, thank you, first of all. And Neal basically, he kind of described it, how we met at the show, that initial show. But for myself, I'm always interested in the personal aspect of things. So, meeting another artist or anybody, I'm always more interested in getting to know who they are, as opposed to the work itself. It kind of puts it in a context that I could relate to better. And so that kind of happens very naturally for me, especially when someone's able to meet me, I guess, in a vulnerable way. And Neal, for whatever reason, he was on that level, because, that's like aspects of my work, like vulnerability is one of those things. And he bought a very vulnerable piece and we connected, I'd say very vulnerably. So it kind of started from there. And I liked how, what he was saying about Method Makers, how he kind of exploits that, like with the artist, it's part of his mission as well. So I think it just, for he and I, like on a personal level, it just kind of, it's a collaboration that just works effortlessly. So yeah.
So rad, man. Like I'm a very emotional person myself. And so knowing that connections are formed based off of like vulnerability and like emotion, you know what I mean? Those connections were made immediately in my mind, and what I've known in life, those are the ones that mean something, that stand firm and always end up blossoming into something so much like bigger. And it doesn't matter who the person is, like in their life or how separate of lives you might live. Like as soon as you meet and you on the, like at that person on that level, it's like, you're never going to not be close like that again. You know what I mean? You immediately form that bond and it always, always, always blossoms into something beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. The irony of this is, like Neal said, that was about 7 years ago. No, almost a decade ago, right? 2013. The irony of this is, it's a long story, so I'll make it very short. But the piece he bought, it was, I was going through a separation, and I'd been there before, but I was really crushed by this. And so I made a piece of artwork paying homage to that relationship. Basically, when the wound was super fresh, I'm talking like a week into the thing. The irony of this is I just got in contact with that ex, very recently after all these years. And she just kind of off the bat, expressed how she didn't really like that, that I was making artwork out of, I wasn't making artwork out of the relationship, but, I use art as a way to process, my life. And that was an aspect of my life. So There's nothing, specific about it. It's just like any piece of art I make is pretty loaded in that way. And I guess on that subject, for someone like me, I really appreciate the support, like what we're doing right now, where we're able to at least talk even a little bit beyond the art, because for me, that really, it's so much more than just the painting itself, even though so much goes into it.
It's interesting too, because that moment in time, here's another ironic thing. So at the time that I was 1 week into this new job, like I hadn't, it was like basically I had lost a job, and I was kind of like trying to figure something out for a really long time. I was just starting up the Method Makers Gallery, but at the same time I realized that running a gallery requires more money than I really expected. So I ended up picking up a job, and I was so happy that I had it. It was like a week. And I was like, oh, I'm like feeling really good. Ended up going to San Francisco, and then I saw Akira's painting. And at that time, I was like really getting into spirituality, like my own spirituality and the practice of like the universe, and going very hippie and like putting stones in my pocket, and like things like that I was doing, right? And so this painting was actually hanging up behind me right now. It like emulated the universe to me, right? And I'll send a photo of it, or I'll tag you guys on it wherever it is on Instagram, or I'm sure like if it's on Akira's site. But
Right.
yeah, I remember at the end of that week, it was probably like a Friday or a Saturday, and I was telling Trevor, I need to pick up this piece, but I want to talk to the artist first. And he's like, all right, that sounds good. And I remember the day that I was supposed to meet Akira, I think the day before, I ended up losing that job. So I only had the job for like 2 weeks. And it was like, shit, I mean, I have the money to pay for this painting, but I also, could save the money and like still, it would be better maybe. But I'm so glad that I made the investment, because that money ended up helping support Akira, and then it became mine, right? And so that story, and then I even like got to hear the depth of what Akira is talking about now. To this day, it becomes like something of conversation, something to talk about. And I think that's what art does, when you have that emotional connection to it. And I'm going to segue a little bit, because I want to talk about like how Gato and myself met. It's interesting because it was 2016, right, Gato? Like,
Yeah.
I was in San Diego with family, and there was this glue tag on the ground, and it was a pyramid, and I did one of those things where like you take a picture of your shoes on the ground or whatever, and like the image of this pyramid was there. And then I posted it up, and I used like the hashtags for San Diego graffiti, and then someone tagged Gato on it. And then from there we like started communicating. Then we saw each other like either in San Diego or in the Bay at different shows. Like we hung out at the Swampy show. And like it's just since that time, like we ended up becoming really close, and then it wasn't until this show, and it's taken so long for it to happen. We've had all that time to like actually develop a friendship, and like the text messages that we send each other are like, because we're all friends now, right? And I feel like that's what happens when you start to form bonds, and like this, even though it is a business, it feels more like family, and less like, I don't know, trying to sell paintings. It's more like trying to cultivate life,
Yeah.
like there's more deeper meaning in what we're doing. So
Yeah, there's always like a common thread in everyone wants to build the scene, or like wants to like put something out there. They want to put something out there themselves, and then when you get like-minded people together, I mean, Gato's been part of a bunch of the shows that I did in San Diego, where I just would promote him for small bars, or like the pizza place I was working at, or something like that. And he's always been down, and it's awesome because it's like it's for like the community. It's for everyone to come out and like check out art and have a place to hang out and look at cool shit and like feel something.
Hey, Matt, can I talk about a little bit about our similar monikers?
Yeah, man. Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Well, that's a funny thing because I was in the Bay Area in 2013 and came back in no, it was 2012 and I came back 2013 to San Diego, and there was 3 guys doing a pyramid, and that was Matt was one of them, and I met him like several years later, and there was another guy which was my friend, and like I knew him closely, but eventually like I think maybe it was sort of that like our shows and through other mutual friends that when they are like meeting each other and people were tagging us on Instagram when it was his pyramid but not mine, but I never felt it like, oh, it's a thread, or like, you know, it's like, this guy's trying to like one up me, you know, it's like that whole graffiti kind of mentality. For me, it was more like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, he's doing it his way, I'm doing it my way.
Dude, I was so afraid. I was like, when we finally met, you were like, dude, everyone's like talking us up like it's big shit. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. You know, it's not a big deal. And I remember you said, they don't even look the same. And I was like, I don't think so either. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, you know, it's like the reason I'm kind of like mention this is like, once again, we have like a strong foundation, like, you know, friendships. And I think that's what brings something a little closer and stronger. And, you know, we all have been building our own friendships in different ways. And if we have a strong foundation, we're definitely going to rise up together rather than just saying, you know, one person's like, I done it all, it's just me, because that is not true. And I think with this group that like we're in right now, and our friendships outside of this, I feel like we have that foundation. We stay true to ourselves, and, you know, we don't want to like, you know, fake the funk, you know, it's like, we just want to be who we are, speak truly, be vulnerable, how like Akira was talking about. And that's very important as for us as, you know, like this human beings that we are. And I'm so happy just to be here with you guys and, you know, talk about like our foundations and how we want to move forward and share ideas.
Would you say, Gato, that there's an aspect of networking that is like either more difficult or just different because you like to like stay anonymous and like keep you know, kind of under wraps and not really wanting everybody to know like who's who or whatever? Or do you think like that helps you like form that deeper bond, connect at the beginning, because you need to trust someone before you let them in?
It's a give and take with anything. You know, it's like how Akira, it's a little more like his artwork definitely says a lot, and he's as an individual can talk about it. For me, it's been pushing myself away from my physical form and talk about my art. So I don't have a story always in my art that you can see right away, but also like you can read me through my colors, and everybody does it differently. So this has challenged me for almost like 8 years where I wasn't talking too much to anyone about what I was about and what I was doing. And it wasn't until Neal did the podcast, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous.
Yeah,
because I never have spoken about, you know, like what I'm about, like deep inside, and also what are like my artwork represents. So like for Akira to say, you know, it comes out like naturally, organically, that's like, I admire that. For me, it took me 8 years to like found that voice. And I'm so happy that it was thanks to Neal and also to like Matt, you know, like having those connections and keeping it on the wrap for so long. It was difficult, but now that it's out, it's like I have so much more to share, and it's still developing. So yeah, I don't know. It's sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's so rad, like on an even deeper level, you know what I mean? You guys, the Method Makers is actually like forming bonds over here, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Gotta diversify your bonds.
Yes, Neal. That's why we had you on the podcast, to drop those lines.
You should see the text that I send Matt. They're mostly like meme bombs, random stuff.
Memes, sometimes dogs, sometimes memes.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Akira, I wanted to hit back with you, man, because like we were saying, your work just bleeds emotion, and your story. I don't know too much of it, so I'm just curious of like, from what you started off doing in art and like fresh out of school and kind of finding yourself through it, where are you now with it, and like how does making art feel to you now? Is it still just a constant representation of your like emotion as you're going through it, or is there more of a conception or a idea before you start painting them?
Well, to answer that, instead of starting, I guess, at the present, I can kind of bounce off of what Eyegato was saying for himself. It's not that like, I can articulate like these things effortlessly. I mean, I can and I can't. And the thing is, my background, I came from a very repressed background. And so when I discovered art, that was when I was in college, like 20 years ago or something. I graduated in 2004. And so when around that time, I discovered, it's a long story, I'm making this really short, but through a mentor, gave me the guidance that I could begin to use everything I learned with painting and drawing to begin to discover who I am internally. And so basically that's where I started. So I kind of like, I say from 2003 forward, very consistently, I used art as a means to, just go deeper and deeper inside myself. And in that process, I mean, there's a ton of self-discovery, but also just kind of, I guess, the ability to articulate it, to not only, say it in my art, but to say it, verbally as well. And then coming to the present, it's, for myself, I've defined it not as a profession, it's a vocation. So it's just, regardless of anything outside of me, it's just, I just do it for very personal reasons, which I kind of just explained. And, like the very present, it's a little complicated because 3 years ago, I moved to Florida to begin a career in tattooing. And I did that. I made that move to, make income so that I don't have to worry about doing that through my art, period. And so that's a current challenge, to kind of find that balance with, continuing to make the art that I've always made with tattooing. Because, I don't know, I doubt anyone, in this group has any tattoo experience. Maybe I'm wrong, but I had no idea what I was getting into. And the amount of sacrifice, like that includes time, physical sacrifice with energy, and just my body, emotionally with clients. It's just like you're drained, like at the end of each day. And so I'm currently in the process, I'm making the money, which is great, but it's been, a challenge to balance that with making art. But I feel confident this year is starting to happen. So.
Awesome, dude. Best of luck with that. I hope that like that momentum that you're feeling continues to churn forward, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's all a journey. So the way I think of it for myself, it's like it's a life story, and I try to express that with each piece of art I make. It's kind of exploring that, all these different aspects of life experience, but it's just another chapter, in the book of life for myself, with tattooing. Because in the past 3 years alone, so much has happened. Everything from putting a pit bull in a headlock to going through an apprenticeship, to just driving cross country very recently from Florida to California and back,
Oh,
so much has happened. And for me, it's all, content to make art out of. So.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Just traveling that much. You drove all the way across both ways. It's that's a month's worth of energy, easy. 2 months worth of energy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. And I didn't plan to tattoo, but I returned to California and now I'm a tattoo artist. So all my friends want tattoos. So I ended up tattooing, which was great, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you find it really difficult to transition the medium from like onto skin? Like obviously you've got so much talent in your painting and your ability there. Like how hard was it to kind of just pick up on skin and use the vibrating, needle and gun and all that?
That part is more technical. That's what there's so many layers to it. And, like I work with some really amazing tattoo artists, and I'm always relieved, you know, from their experience and what they tell me, that how stressful it is. And the stress, you know, like it is like you don't want to mess up, and you don't know this person. They're paying you a lot of money, and you know, the canvas is skin, and so it's very nerve-wracking. You know, even coming from these guys who are super good and
Yeah.
very experienced. So it just comes with the territory, but it's just another challenge, and I love it. You know, like my life, you know, basically with tattooing, like I'm consumed by two emotions: excitement and nervousness. You know, basically fear and you know, excitement to confront that fear basically every single day. So there's a lot of growth in that process, you know.
Heck yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Well, I can relate to that, like doing the streets and, you know, still doing the gallery work. It's always, you know, like nerve wracking. You never know what may go wrong. You know, you're always hoping for the best. So like I feel you on that, you know. I'm like I've been thinking about tattooing myself, but you know, like stepping into that space is difficult. Like I've been getting tattooed over my last like 14 years of my life. I'm pretty almost like full on tattooed my whole body. But you know, like my respects to you, because that's like there's no erasing. You know, it's like, so, you know, like bow to you, because like that's one of the best like art forms that like I respect highly outside of what I do.
Yeah, no, it's great. I recommend it. Well, I do and I don't, for like any artist, because like myself, it's one of those things where I had no idea what I was getting involved with at all. Like I've never been in a tattoo shop. I had no tattoos. You know, the opportunity, you know, came, which was through Stefano, like one of the artists in the upcoming show. Um, and I won't get into them, but I have plenty of stories where, yeah, in the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing. And as they say, you know, fake it till you make it. And yeah, there's, you know, there's some disasters, right? There's stuff I'm not proud of, you know what I mean? And like you said, you can't erase it. So that's just how it goes.
That's fucking funny. Yeah, we've talked to a couple guys who've transitioned from illustration to tattooing, but both of them recently that we talked to already kind of translated a little bit with more of the illustration style, with the bold outlining and stippling that can kind of transition into some shading of more traditional style tattoos. But with your stuff, are you doing, people must come to you for your artwork, right? Not necessarily with their ideas. Is anyone walking in and giving you the like idea for the tattoo?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's the thing. I mean, the one thing I like about tattooing is it's really on you. It's what you make out of it. And I love that. Because ultimately you could take it as high as you want. And actually, unlike my experience with art, not that I really went that direction, just not rewarded externally. But with tattooing, you put in the time, the effort, you'll develop the skill, the ability, and you can, you know, form a style like whatever you want, like the world's yours. I really feel confident about that. But with my personality, you know, I'm a very thorough person. So I definitely, you know, like I'm still in that place. I've been in it 3 years so far, and I really want to learn it from the ground up. So I really take the walk-in seriously, even doing the infinity tattoo, trying to not master it, you know what I mean? But it's a skill, man. Like guys will tell you they've been tattooing 20 years, like to tattoo a little circle, like that shit's hard, man. You know, and to get good at that, you know, and you know, along with my personality, you know, I'm very introverted in the way of so much of the experience with tattooing so far that I really cherish are just some of the, you know, the connections I've made with clients, you know, just the actual act of somebody being so like vulnerable in the chair where their blood is literally on my hands. And because of my personality, you know, a connection often occurs where they just kind of like, it's almost like being a therapist for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Or they just really share their stories. And man, the stories are incredible. It's just like, it's the human condition, like what people have gone through. And I love that part of it. And, and then, blessing them with a tattoo at the end of it. It's such an amazing aspect. So I love that part of it, like the life stories and the connection. So at some point, maybe I can, kind of, I don't know, find a way to take that to the next level for myself with tattooing, within the tattoos, to make them more personal on the clients in that way. But I'm still working on those infinity symbols. So,
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you. How do you feel about your pieces for this show? Like, is there anything special that you were going through? I haven't seen too much of the work. I mean, Neal's been keeping it really like locked down, but I'm interested to hear about like your pieces for this this show and how you feel about them.
Well, I didn't do much. I did, 2 pieces. And the thing is, like I was saying, I think I was doing that kind of when my apprenticeship was ending. And I think, quarantine had started, right? The piece I did, just like I said, I tend to work with the subject of life. So I did a piece in relation to, COVID and the quarantine and what was happening, but my own take on it. And, with, I bring up the apprenticeship because when that happened, man, like time disappeared. I couldn't believe I had to sacrifice making art, I would still do it internally, meaning I would still process, the world, but that was a tough one. And so I was able to create, like for the project, but I think that was the, really the first kind of art pieces I had made in probably like over a year and a half of starting the apprenticeship. So, so that was kind of a blessing in terms of its timing as well. And so, yeah.
I got a random off the wall question. I don't mean to like rabbit trail us here, but has the Method Makers ever like all been together in one place, or are you guys doing all of your collaborating like separate and like you only come together for shows, or like how often are you guys all together? Because you guys are all over the place, right?
Yeah. The last time everyone was together for something was probably a closing show in 2014. I mean, I take that back. There are projects that we've done together, but not all together. I think the biggest group that we've had together was probably in the Philippines.
Okay.
When Gats, basically Doty, myself, Quicks, and Exiled, and God, there's a lot of people in that group. A lot of the shout out to the Nosebleed crew. But there's like, I will say individually, because of the distance between us, like Gato's in San Diego, Akira's in Florida, I'm here in the Bay. Like Gats is in the Bay Area. So is Basic. Yeah, it's hard to have everyone really together. I think, like, I don't know what the new normal is going to look like. I'm hoping that, like, things change and we can all be together and do something. Random thing, but I bought these tickets to the Rage Against the Machine concert in 2019 or something, and that same concert still is like been postponed because of all this shit, So I don't know. But yeah, to answer your question, it's been a really long time since we've really been all together. I think like everyone is sort of doing their own thing, and there are members that, if they're in the same city, the same vicinity, they're doing their thing. But really the point is to be able to share those visual stories of each individual in their geographic location, and
yeah
broadcasting the art from that part of the world or whatnot.
I kind of assume, like, because I know how many of you there are and how scattered you are guys, like all over the place, I assumed like you weren't together all the time. And I think that's good to point out, like that these relationships that we've been talking about, that you guys have cultivated, and the depth that you are able, it like doesn't come from sitting with each other every single day. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, you guys have, it's just an automatic click. You know what I mean? And that stuff, when it comes to being able to work with the people that you like, you love like that, it's just an amazing thing. Like you'll never work a day in your life when you're around those types of people. I think that's so rad. I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah, I feel the same way for sure.
That's super.
Well, Neal, I remember you talking a little while back about this, and hopefully we can still achieve that. I don't know if it's like we ever speak about this freely, but you spoke about doing a murals, hopefully in the Bay Area, continuing, you know, the group that we have right now, and maybe that'll be a opportunity for us to come together.
Yeah, I think that's still a possibility. There's definitely business owners in the area that want to have their walls blessed, and I think that, you know, just about timing, budget, making sure that, you know, we can secure those things. That's definitely something that, you know, we want to try and cultivate. So
Dude, shout out on murals actually to you, Gato. The last couple I've seen that went up after I moved from San Diego a couple years ago have been big, dude. So like Lefties was sick. Like,
Yeah.
Still pumped to see you doing more like public spaces like that.
You know, it's been definitely a blessing with this situation that we're going through. Is like, you know, like there's been no day that I get challenged to do something new, and I'm so blessed to have those opportunities in whichever way I do it, from paper to streets to, you know, like little walls to objects, or even through like just speaking about what I'm doing. So I feel very happy to have that opportunity. And, you know, it's like I doubted myself for a long time, but, you know, now I believe myself. There's like infinite opportunities and infinite ways to keep on growing. Like hopefully in the near future I can actually join Akira and start doing tattoos as well. But, you know, I'm leaving a lot of things on the table to continue to express myself in any way possible.
Yeah, you use a lot of different mediums. I know we're not in the studio right now, but in the studio we've got like little wood carvings, you know, that are all painted up and lacquered and stuff. Like, bro, you go full fledged when you do something. He pulled that out, and I was like, what? This is fucking dope.
Yeah. I like to try all mediums. I don't know. There's something about like being autonomous, you know, to learn them all. I want to learn as much possible. There's like it's an endless thing for me.
Right.
Like I enjoy screen printing, I enjoy spray painting, I enjoy making frames, I enjoy like sewing, I enjoy, you know, like I don't know, it's just countless, like you said it. And, you know, like it also, I can bounce back and forth, and it keeps everything really fresh for me. And that's the reason I do it. There's always something to learn about it, and I can apply it together, and, you know, definitely do a lot of mixed media.
Bouncing like a cat. That's the method of the cat.
I love what you guys are doing, man. Like everything that we've talked about here just makes me like super smile about having that community and that family around you to be able, because there's no doubt in my mind that when you have people around you that want you to succeed, that matters. You know what I mean? That helps you succeed in so many more ways than just their help that they give you. You know, it's the mentality that gives you that really lets you succeed.
Yep. Yeah. On that note, like I think like so I from a personal note, I live with someone that's immunocompromised, and it's made things pretty difficult on a personal level to connect with people physically, because it's like you know, your concerns with having like even being vaccinated, what that effect will have on the other individual in the home. And so like there's been friendships, that longtime friendships that you would never know would test the boundaries of things because you can't be there physically, or people take it a certain way. And you know, like for Gato, Akira and I, like I don't think we've seen each other, like even when Akira was here in California, I felt bad that I couldn't see him, but that still didn't change the friendship. You know, it still didn't change the dynamic of how we work together, and the friendships, right? So it's like, what I'm trying to get at is those bonds. Like even the distance or COVID couldn't kill the bond between individuals that have that strong type of connection. So it's important to, you know, this period of time has taught me that, also how patient these guys are, because it's taken so fucking long for this thing to actually happen, and now that it is. So I just want to express my gratitude to both of you for sticking with it.
Oh, you're pulling a lot, man. Not a lot of people do that. So, you know, it's like, of course we're gonna stick with you. It's not a one-way street, you know. We were reciprocating with you. So, you know, it's like I don't feel like it's taking long for me. It's just like something I've been learning for myself. It's taking the time that's needed. You know, nothing needs to be instant. We live such an instant gratification kind of deal, like daily basis. I think this is more beautiful to just like let it grow organically, and, you know, let it take the time it needs to take. Because that, you know, we got the time in the world. Like it's okay. So, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's there's nothing like we're just like waiting forever too long. It's just, it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Gato.
Yo, I have to point something out really quick. Give me 1 second.
Oh, snap.
After we had Neal on this last time, he
Oh,
blessed
nice.
our nest with this piece that is so freaking dope, guys. This thing hangs in my living room now. I just want you to know, Neal, appreciate it. This is one of the ones that blesses me every day.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's by another Method Maker artist. It was the first and only print that we've done thus far, by Chris Conroy. So shout out to Chris Conroy. At some point we have to try to get him on your guys' show, but he's also one of those people that, and he's like a mutual friend of Akira and I. He's not really good with technology, and a funny story about him is I was able to get him on a Zoom call once, and I took a screenshot and I sent it to Akira. He was like, "No way, that's fake." But yeah, he's a good dude, and an amazing artist.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had to throw that up there just to let everybody know that's listening and watching, like, what a good dude you were. Like, I had never met you before. We got in touch, but to do the podcast before that, and like you blessed us with this whole packet of dope ass art. Like, you sent us t-shirts, like you cared, you know what I mean? And that cultivation of friendship, like you and Matt still meme drop each other all the time. Like I'm on Instagram, I see what you're doing every day. Like everything that you're doing and the way that you're doing it, man, is just, it cultivates happiness and smiles, bro. Like there hasn't been a single person, I'm sure, that interacts with you and your business model and the way that you're doing things that says you're doing it wrong, you know? Because if they did, they don't understand.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. We got the upcoming drops, the quote unquote cyber show. What are you like labeling it as? Like the distancing, social distancing, online cyber technological
cyber sex. Yeah, no, it's do people still do that? Cyber sex? Anyway, no, it's
I do.
I'll catch you in the other chat room. The name of the show is the easiest way to call it is the social distance show. And I think the hashtag is super fucking long, but it's like to combine the website, which is tmmdl.com. The hashtag is TMMDL social distance. And it's launching on 2/22/22, which happens to be on a Tuesday at 2 a.m.
Yes.
Pacific time. And it almost took 2 years to make. So
dang it, that's not synchronicity. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, more on that. Hopefully we'll drop a flyer once we have everything ready. But we're excited about it because the utility of selling this is going to help us with being able to do post-production for our podcast. We plan to have some proceeds go towards the National Foundation for Suicide Awareness. I'll be dropping an episode about my survivorship story in the second season of the podcast. And I think when we do the launch, that's something that I will be sharing. And I've been wary about sharing that information publicly because, I think that mental health is still something that's very sensitive, and there's still a stigma around it that people have. But I also think that if you can speak openly about it, you can be an advocate for others who are going through, a really hard time. And I think it's important to support causes like that because, I think about had that happened, had I actually taken my life 13 or 14 years ago, I can't remember when it was, my daughter wouldn't be born, and none of us would be here talking maybe. And it'd just be a ghost on your show with sunglasses on that are kind of crooked, I think. But any case, yeah. So more on that, we'll see when it launches.
That's super rad, man. I know, like, it's hard to admit, and it's hard to actually feel, but I think NFTs are not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, it is the way to go. Artists are doing it everywhere, and it's just getting further along. So definitely it's kind of one of those things you got to get involved with so you're not left in the dust eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I will say that there's definitely some fucked up shit that's happening in the NFT world. And I will tell you, there's still some, I don't know, like all of us here as artists and people who collect art, you can physically see the work that's on the wall. And I understand, and I know that I own this painting or whatever it is. And so for a long time, I think part of the reason that we're waiting to figure out if we were going to do something in this space or not is also because we have our skepticism about it. And talking to people who are in the space and understand it, they've also we've tried to do a lot of research before we decide to actually do it. And I think the main thing that we want people to know is that the utility or where this money is going to be going is towards something really good, and I think it's hard, right? Like all of us that want to support the community of artists, how do you do it just by trying to sell works of art, or most of us are also supporting communities with full-time jobs, right? Like we're paying out of pocket to do a lot of these things. And so if we can participate in Web 3.0, and that's going to allow more of that energy. I look at money like energy, right? Like the more that you have of it, the more energy you have to be able to further your cause and further the purpose of the things that you're trying to accomplish. Part of the reason that Akira decided to do tattooing and making, his artwork something he could support by having, more income to do that. So in the same sense that we're trying to do this, be great to become uber rich, but that's not really the goal, right? The goal is to keep doing good stuff and promoting more of the method makers and finding more of them and having them be known. So
hell yeah. Nah, kudos to everything that you're doing with that, man. I thought it was tight before, and after having this conversation with you guys today, it's even it just solidified. It's so rad what you're doing. There's no way it can fail when you've got that kind of love and intention going into it. So well done.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh yeah, dude. It's so awesome to see you just keeping up with everybody and building this community of people that are amazingly talented artists that are doing things for themselves, obviously, but it's you supporting people that are working for themselves. Are you're not giving them a platform, you're not I mean, you're giving them a platform, but you're not doing the work for them. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, man. It takes a village, it takes a community, it takes a lot of people to do what we do. And I just feel blessed to be at the center of it, and to have so many people that support what we do. And for you guys as well, for taking the time to do all this, it means a lot.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
We got to do some cross pollination on our podcasting here and we'll have episodes with each other.
I know. Yeah. Matt and I were talking about that, man. Like, you guys need to, I don't know, when we get, so here's another thing too. It's like, we need money so that we can fund the second season. Because it's hard to keep up with the day-to-day things that we do for Design Lab, the Method Makers. Like it takes a lot. And on top of that, like, to get the quality that we want, we pay an engineer to get our stuff done properly. And so we're, I put out a survey recently on the podcast Instagram, like, what should we do to raise money? Like, should we do a Kickstarter with some prizes? Should I do a GoFundMe? Maybe we need to start a Patreon. I'm not really sure what it is, but first things first is, let's get this, this show launched, do these weekly drops, see how things go. I'd like to prove the success of what our methodology is first. And if that works, then we can continue, and maybe that will bring revenue to help us keep moving forward. So
Heck yeah.
And the show drops again Tuesday the 22nd. It opens up with Akira. You're the first week, right?
Yeah, myself and Stefano.
Yep.
Awesome. And how many works are going to be available each week, or is it all vary?
It all varies. Yeah, depending on the artist and how much they've created for the show or is available. Yeah, it'll just vary. There's going to be some merch on there too. I think the merch will be the thing that's consistent through the show. But the artwork itself is only going to be available during those specified weeks. So
Awesome.
And then what is the website for that, to where on the 22nd that people can go right on there?
tmmdl.com, or you can follow us on Method Made on Instagram, and all the links are going to be there too.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, dude. I definitely want to check that out.
Thank you. Love to have you.
I do. Well, we're coming up on the hour mark, so I think that's a good place to kind of wrap it up there. And Akira, Gato, thank you guys so much. Anything else you want to shout out, want to throw out your website, or where people can check out more of your work? We'll start with Akira.
You could find me, just Google Akira Beard. You'll find all the social media and everything, the website. It's all on there. So yeah.
Awesome, dude. Gato, what about you, brother?
It's just simple. The Instagram, Eyegato, just like _ EYEGATO _, and you'll find everything right there.
Awesome, dude. Neal, anything else to shout out before we wrap it up?
Shout out to the Rat Nest podcast, to Gato, Akira, Stefano, EKOSE, Gats, basically TK, to Remy, wish you could be here today, to Jay Berger, the Nosebleed Crew, the Method Makers, I don't know, Pee Wee Herman, God, and the universe. I don't know why Pee Wee Herman. It's just random.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
I'm still thinking about those stones in your pocket. Like, what's that about? Do you have stones in your pocket?
I don't have them right now, but
Okay.
it would be funny if I did pull them out and showed you.
We'll talk about that later.
Dude, I was over here like formulating this like sincere thank you of an apology that I was about to drop, and you just took it the complete opposite direction. Thank you,
That's
Pee.
how we do it in the rat nest.
Yeah. No, but for real, thank you guys for being here so much. Like this was a super dope time. Like we were looking forward to it for quite a while, and it did not disappoint, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do and how well you guys prosper and see how high you guys fly, man. Best of luck and everything. It was so nice meeting you guys, Akira, Gato. It was a real pleasure having you guys on, and thank you for being so open, honest with us, sharing as deeply as you did, man. It really meant a lot. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you
I
so much.
think Matt and I we're thinking about doing one together. So you guys probably be hearing from me again soon.
Awesome.
Hey.
I like to
Yeah.
hear.
So yeah, looking
In
forward to it.
studio, live and in person with a mask. We'll both wear masks on that one.
We're gonna wear masks. We're gonna be nude though.
That's right.
Hell yeah. Don't tempt me.
I'm not wearing pants, if that helps. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Zoom, baby.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna do this quick outro and then stay on the line. We'll chit chat a little bit more. But this has been another episode of the Rat Nest Podcast. You can catch us every week on YouTube for the video, anywhere you stream your podcast for the audio. Check us out at ratneststickerco.com for stickers, zines, comics, t-shirts, posters, whatever you want. Original artwork. There's a bunch of stuff on there. Go check it out. And yeah, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Yeah.